Hi there, my name is Mauriciana. I'm a neuro leadership and resilience consultant, trainer, and coach. It's absolutely fantastic to join you today as we celebrate International Women's Day. When Zainab asked me to give this brief talk, I did ponder quite a bit on what I would title it. So I decided to call this talk, "The Limitless Woman is a Happy Woman." As women, we need to reshape the way we perceive ourselves. We need to stand up and take the lead on our own lives. The fact is that all women are beautiful, and the true strength of our character comes from the cracks and breaks that we encounter in life. But the fact is that not many women are conscious of our crown. Many women go through life seeking validation from their peers, from the media, from family, from husbands, from men. And it's a never-ending cycle. We see other women as competition. We speak lowly about ourselves. And unfortunately, many people miss great opportunities that come their way because they're focusing on other people, on other things. You hear a lot of women say, "I don't want to be alone." And the result is that they go from heartbreak to heartbreak, constantly blaming themselves. While the fact is that they are not the issue. It has always been the distorted mirror. So this led me to question, what are the characteristics of a limitless woman? And the first thing is, the limitless woman is fearless. This does not mean that you will not feel afraid, but it means that you will not allow fear control your decisions and your actions. If you do not make the decision to control fear, fear will end up controlling you. Now, I'm going to show you something. This is the brain. We all have it. But unfortunately, many people leave it to do its own thing. What do I mean by that? I, as a woman, I've put on my makeup. I look after my face. I look after my hair. I wear lovely clothes. And we all do this. We look after most things about our body. A lot of you on fantastic diets where you watch what you eat and what you drink. But the most important organ in our bodies, we completely neglect, and that's the brain. Now, the brain always says extremely imaginative. Just think about this. It's from this brain that the concept of an aeroplane came. It's from this brain that I can actually be speaking to you virtually today. But this same brain, in all its imagination, can only work with what you give it. So if you're telling your brain that you're afraid, what does it do? The connections in the brain will work to show you every reason why you should be afraid. Now, the emotional center of the brain is right in the middle of the brain. And once this emotional center is activated with fear, what it does is that it then deactivates the frontal part of the brain that's here, and which is the thinking part of the brain. So this is the area where we make decisions, we solve problems, we are conscious about what's happening around us and conscious of the decisions we make. But when we allow the emotional center, which is a tiny part of the brain, to get activated from the thoughts that we give it, what it does is then blocks out the frontal part of the brain, the decision making. And that's where you find people making wrong decisions or repeating the same actions over and over again. So I'll encourage you today to be firm in your resolve to do what you need to do to be in control of your brain so that you can be in control of your life. And you might find that you're still afraid, but you know what? It's okay. Do whatever you need to do afraid. Because as time goes on, what the brain will do is that it will be rewired to do what you are giving it to do, and the old habits which you are afraid of, or whatever it is you're afraid of, will disappear. And the fact is that so many things that we're afraid to do actually never become a reality. So, if what you have to do is step out of something and you're afraid, think it through, have your plan, and do what you need to do. But the key is the resolve to be happy, the resolve to be a limitless woman. And what does it take? What do you need to do? Is it starting a business? Is it stepping away from a relationship? Is it taking control of a relationship? Is it looking at what's going on in your relationship and saying, no, I don't want this, or I'm not going to let this affect me? Because when you let somebody else's actions affect you, you're becoming a victim of your life, of the person. The person is living their own life, but the impact is on you. Fear has become an epidemic in our society today. But the question is, what are you afraid of? Is it rejection? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of the unknown? Is it fear of loneliness? Is it fear of aging? The list of fears are endless, but the key is to identify what it is you're afraid of and change the narrative of what you're afraid of. Question yourself, should I really be afraid of this? What do I need to do to overcome this fear? Is this a genuine fear, or one that I've imposed on myself or society has imposed on me? Change the meaning of what you've given, whatever is causing you fear. And that will rewire your brain so that you become fearless. Another characteristic of a limitless woman that makes a happy woman is resilience. The limitless woman is a resilient woman. You don't need to see setbacks as a failure. I have failed so many times in my life, but you know what? It's made me who I am today, and it's brought me to where I am today, and it's enabled me do what I do today. I'm able to live on my own terms, travel the world, doing what I enjoy doing, empowering leaders all over the world. All this started from failure. You're not a failure when you try something and it doesn't work. You're a failure when you don't try at all. Because when you try something that doesn't work, you would have learned from that experience. Most people who are successful today have failed so many times. I look at people like Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson, so many people that you probably even know that have failed in so many aspects of their life, but extremely successful in what they're doing today. So instead of allowing failure and mistakes to stop you, let them train you instead. I always say that, you know what, if I step out and do something and it doesn't work, at least I know not to do it again. And that would be the lesson in that experience. The ability to recover from pain or any form of disappointment, it doesn't just happen to some people and not to others. It's a decision that you make. It's a decision that you make, that you tell yourself, you know what, I'm getting over this. And that decision is the thought that you tell your brain. It's what you're thinking. Because when you have a thought, it creates an emotion. And it's the emotion that then would either deactivate your thinking brain or enable it, where they align together. So you make a decision in whatever it is, you know what it is you're going through, but it can be a decision to let go, to move on, to try something new, to do something differently. It is a decision. You say it, It creates the action or the motivation to enable you do it, and then you have to take the action. And when you're taking this action, it might not seem comfortable. I will remind you of when you started learning how to drive. It wasn't easy because you had to concentrate on the mirror, you were looking at the steering, you were trying to figure out what your feet were doing all at the same time. So it wasn't easy. But with practice, it became easy. And that's what changing or creating a new habit is all about. Embrace challenges that come your way in whatever shape or form, and look at them as an opportunity to grow and learn, develop yourself, or create something great out of it. Another characteristic of a limitless woman is to be adaptable. A limitless woman is a woman who is flexible, who adapts to different situations. There are two types of people in this world: the one that waits for things to happen, and the other one is the one that makes things happen. Which one are you? Because to be adaptable, you need to look at challenges, you need to look at changes as opportunities and not threats. Anything the brain sees as a threat, it will try to keep you away from, because that's its work, that's its function. The function of the brain is to keep us safe for survival. So if you tell your brain that a particular situation or a challenge that you're facing is a problem, it automatically sees it as a threat, so it wants to keep you away from it. And what it does, the wiring in the brain starts connecting to come up with a solution or something for you to run away from it. But if you tell your brain, actually, no, this is a great challenge that I'm going to embrace. It's a problem I have here, but I'm going to solve this problem. Then the brain will then start firing to wire to come up with a solution for you to be able to solve that problem or take the action that you need to take. It's amazing. The brain is so fascinating, but you have to tell it what you want it to give you. It can only work with what you give it. Many women now are suffering from what their spouses have done, their husbands have done. A lot of women are burying themselves in alcohol. A lot have become alcoholics. So many are on antidepressants, depressed from life, depressed from things that have happened in their relationships. Come on here. At the end of the day, you cannot control what somebody else does. The way you react to what people do is your choice. You have the choice to decide, I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to let this affect me. I am going to enjoy my life. This is my life. You know what? Life is interesting. If you let what other people do decide or control your own life, you're becoming a victim of life. The other thing is that I've told you about the brain and how when it perceives something as a threat, it tries to keep us away. One of the ways it does that is by releasing a hormone into our bloodstream known as cortisol. Cortisol is meant to be just released in short bursts to give us the energy to take action. And that action, in most cases, could be fighting or fleeing, the fight, flight, or freeze mechanism. Now, when you constantly keep playing over something that has happened, maybe your husband has had an affair, maybe your partner has disappointed you in business, maybe someone has duped you in business, maybe somebody has wronged you or done something that has upset you, and you keep playing it over and over in your head. What's happening is that you're constantly releasing this cortisol over and over into your bloodstream, which is not natural. And what it then does is that this cortisol starts destroying cells in your body, like your memory. There's a part in the brain known as the hippocampus. And what it does is that starts destroying the cells in the hippocampus. And you find that when you're very stressed, you can start losing memory. You start being forgetful. It starts destroying cells in other parts of your body. And that's one of the reasons people end up with high blood pressure and cancer. So when you're constantly being stressed, it has an impact on your own health. So think about this. If someone does something to you, you then, from your actions of being upset, being sad, over, constantly, consistently, because it's okay to feel sad, but snap out of it. But when you kind of dwell in it, and this cortisol is constantly in your bloodstream, just think of the damage that it's doing to your own body. I know so many women that have died early from things that have happened in their marriages. How sad is that? And I know women who are not living anymore because people have hurt them or their expectations have been dashed or not met. Why would you let something somebody else does control how your own life pans out? So what I'm doing today is trying to get you energized to really decide how your life is going to be so that you can confidently take back control of your brain. And another characteristic, I can't go through them all, but another characteristic is your mindset. What kind of mindset do you have? The limitless woman is the woman that doesn't live her life with if only, what if. The world is full of so many people, especially women, who feel empty and unfulfilled just because they have lived their lives bemoaning what they have not done and what they could have done. What if they did this? If only I could have done this. And this is sad because instead of doing that, what do you have? Use what you have. I always say to people, stop focusing on what you don't have. Look at what's in your hand already. Be resourceful with what you have. And don't dwell on the if only, what if. If only I had more education, more money, more opportunities, someone to help me. If only I had a better start in life. If only I wasn't abused. If only I was taller. If only I was younger. If only I was lighter skinned. If only I wasn't so tall. If only, if only, if only. It's a waste of time. And it's such a waste and a big mistake to live your life focusing on the things that you don't have, or things that you have lost, or things that you have failed to achieve, instead of taking an inventory of what you do have and using that to achieve what you want. So the key really is to see opportunities and not problems. So stop focusing and thinking that if only you could have something else or do something else, then your life would be more worthwhile. No. If only is a thief of what could be. Because where the mind goes, the person goes. Remember what I said about the brain? Where the mind goes, the person literally follows. So if you pay more attention to your thoughts, you'll be able to direct your life and live the life that God has created you to live, instead of living in the past or living somebody else's life or living the way you perceive society wants you to live. So think confident and you will end up being confident. Think happy and you will end up being happy. So in conclusion, what I would say is that being limitless begins with self-acceptance. You've got to accept yourself first and foremost. So I'll encourage you to be content with who you are. So I'll say this: stay on your own lane. So important. Become very emotionally intelligent. Be in tune or aware of what you're feeling and what you're thinking, and learn to manage your emotions. Be careful who you surround yourself with, and this includes friends and relationships that you get into. I've said this earlier, that there are women who feel so bad about themselves that when they get involved with other men who hurt them, they believe that they deserved it. And that is just not a good place to be at. Many people fail at marriages because they simply do not love themselves. And therefore, they have nothing to give in the relationship. So they end up spending most of their time trying to get things from their spouses because they feel that they've got nothing to give. And the fact is that every single person has a great self-worth. You've got something special, something precious about you. So stop looking at other people as being better than you, because you are best in who you are. If you're not there yet, make that your mission to be the best that you can be. So learn to separate your who from your do. So making mistakes, like I said, is something that every human being does. But the key is to learn from those mistakes and not allow those mistakes to become your downfall, basically. And I'm just going to end on just a quick note, something about depression. Now, I've talked a lot about the brain. And what happens in the brain is that the left prefrontal cortex, which is this part of the brain, promotes positive feelings and taking action, while the right part of the brain, which is this part of the brain, promotes passivity and negative emotions. So this is negative emotions and passivity, while the other side of the brain, while the left side of the brain is more positivity and taking actions. So when the left part of the brain, which is the positive and action part of the brain, is underactivated, what then happens is that this right part of the brain is then activated, and this is the part of the brain that is associated with depression. If you find that you're feeling depressed over a certain thing, you will find that you don't really want to do anything. You find that you want to coil up in bed, close the curtains, just hide away. Then you know immediately that your right prefrontal cortex is activated. So what you now need to do is then activate this part of the brain, which is the action part, the positivity part. And one of the best ways to do that is to counteract what's going on here. So this part is taking action. So start taking action. Get up and go out. Either go to a social function, go and catch up with friends, but also this part is activated because it's the positive part of the brain. Start telling yourself positive things. Start being realistic about situations. Change the narrative of what you've been telling yourself that has brought you into that depressed state, and tell yourself the positive things, even if you don't feel it. Just start saying it, because once you do, this left part of the brain, the left prefrontal cortex, will become activated, and then you'll be able to snap out of that depressed state so that you can then move into the positive state where you're then secreting things like serotonin that will enable that's the feel good hormone. So that will enable you to then start going to achieve what you want, which is to be a happy person, to be to that place of joy, to the place where your prefrontal cortex as a whole is activated again, so you can then start making the right decisions and solving whatever problems that you have. There are so many ways to help you do this, and I call this being able to rewire your brain so that you can promote those positive moods. There's so many ways to do this. Like I said, being able to take action, that's one, that's an easy thing. Changing the narrative of what you're telling yourself. Exercise is also very good. So if you're feeling low or something has happened and you find yourself going low, just remember, oh, my right prefrontal cortex is being activated. I need to activate the left side. So you know what? I'll go outside and take a run. I'll jog, just do something so that you can wire the positive side so that you can snap out of that depressed state and go into the positive state and then reactivate the full cortex so that you can then start taking positive actions. So, there's so many others, but I think this is just something that is easy and quick for you to remember to use as you go through life. So I've given you so much today, and I probably have gone over the allocated time. But what I want you to leave remembering is that you are in control of your brain. You are in control of what goes on in your brain. Don't leave your brain to do its own thing, because it will only use what it already has, which is what you had already left it to do in the past. Things that it had observed, experiences that you've gone through. Now you know better, you start rewiring your brain so that you can become a limitless, happy woman. Happy International Women's Day, and I really wish you all the best. And hopefully, I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now. It's Morichana here. Bye.